All right.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I am Lacey Barrett, and this is Katherine Eden. Katherine, tell us
Hi.
about what you do and who you are and your life story.
My life story. Oh my goodness. That would be like the whole hour, right? No, I'm not that interesting. So I am a doula and a social worker, and I like to make stuff. And I do placentas and I do a whole bunch of other things. Um, and a mum, of course, to two crazy boys. So that's me. Nourish Collective is my business, although I'm moving a little bit away from Nourish Collective and just using my name. So, Katherine Eden, rewilding mentor. That's me.
Exciting. That sounds pretty, not intense, but kind of intense.
Yeah, kind
Um,
of. It's all about peeling away the layers and diving deeper and, doing the work. We've got to do the work if we want the benefits.
we do. We do. And, part of doing the work is staying organized.
Exactly, exactly. And I am shocking. I live in chaos most of the time. And if you want to run a business and have a family, you have to figure out a way that works to be organized, to work out, who's coming, who's going, who's paid, who hasn't paid, who's due, who's not due, like, and all the different, if you offer lots of different services like I do, you have to work out what the heck is happening, otherwise you just lose it all. It's like juggling all these balls, which I found quite hard. Do you find that hard?
I do. And I find it especially hard when I've got the same client that uses multiple services of mine.
Yes.
And so then I feel like I've got their name everywhere, but they're nowhere,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
And you're like, what have I, and also, have I sent them that email to confirm? Have I made sure that they've had this meeting? Or have we gone through, their birth plan? Or have we gone through this? Have they paid their deposit? What's remaining? Are they on a payment plan? All these things that you have to remember. And if you've only got like, one client, then you can kind of keep track. But when you're also trying to keep track of, what your kid had for lunch and have they had a shower in the week or whatever, it's too much for our brains to handle. So we need a much better way of managing it, don't we? Such
We
a better way.
do.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, well, I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and
Do
what I
it.
do.
Yes. Can we just plug this too? Look at our t-shirts. Amazing. Amazing. Fun days. Matching.
Yes, you can get these on my website if you would like one. We've done the first order, and I'm taking a second lot of orders to ship out soon. So you can find that information on laceybarrett.com.au and then just go to the shop.
Because they're fun
So
and we like to have fun.
they are really fun. So now I am a birth photographer, a doula, I'm a placenta encapsulator, I am a mom, a wife, a mom to five, nonetheless,
To
and
fun.
um, husband, sister, all encapsulating things. So I was finding that I was trying to keep my things separate, and I would have one calendar for my family and then one calendar for my work. And what I would fail to realize is you need to actually check the other one. And
Yes.
I was planning things, and then the kindy school was calling me saying, "Hey, are you coming to the field trip? Like, are you coming on the excursion?" And I was like, "Oh no." no, I have a meeting today. I can't cancel it. I've already rescheduled it twice. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh. And then who do you prioritize?
right, right. And so do I lose this 2250 by possibly rescheduling and having her get pissed off and saying, no,
Mm.
what you're like before I've even booked you, that I'm not interested? Or do I disappoint my kids and not go? So whenever I found your planner, it's everything all in one. It's placenta services, it's photography services, it's dual services, it's prenatals, it's calendars and diaries and menstrual tracking and how many Ks you've driven in your car. I don't think that there's anything that you did not put in it. And whenever I found it, I was like, this is going to be my saving grace, because
Yay.
a million planners all over the place, right? So I've got
Yeah.
my family planner, my I've got an app on my phone that I was tracking when I was bleeding,
Yeah.
but I didn't understand the full depth of what
Yes.
your bleeding meant. So I was basically just tracking
When it was
we had done,
coming. Yeah.
when we had done 30 and when and when I was bleeding and and ovulating.
Yes.
So whenever I got the planner and I first opened it, I was a bit overwhelmed
Yes.
because there was so much.
Because this is how thick it is, people. And I've got it's all Yes. It can be overwhelming.
Can be. And I remember as soon as I got it, I messaged you and I was like, I don't even understand how this works. Like, and so once I figured out that you could make it all pretty and decorated and need, so yeah, then I really started to understand the power that was lying inside of this planner. So
you word it so much better than I do. It's amazing. It's kind of a journey. Like everything that I do in my work is sort of a journey. There's no like end to it. It just sort of evolves with us. And I think that's the thing with the planner, is that it's really your own journey to organize and not only organize your life, but really support every aspect of your life. And that's the real well, that's my deep intention for people who use the planner, is that it's not just about work and it's not just about your kids, because we can't, or your life or your partner or whatever. It has to be a real amalgamation of all of those things to form a whole. And that's why it's really really that journey around discovering what works for you. And so so you've got everything in there. I feel like if anyone can think of something that I've missed, I'll have to like give away a prize or something, because I feel like I spent, over a year and every week I'd go, oh, here's something else and here's something else I need to put in. And
I've got to put this in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those evolving things that I created over a very long period of time, because I was so frustrated at two things. I was really frustrated that birth workers in particular, and so this evolved because I'm a birth worker, but obviously there's a planner not just for birth workers, but this started off for birth workers. I was frustrated because the rate of burnout for birth workers is huge. We all know that most doulas and midwives, they really do burn out very quickly, and birth photographers, and we're overworked and underpaid, and the work is really super heavy. And often birth workers come into the field because they want to support people, they want to help, and they want to do things, which is amazing and great. But you can't do that if you are not actually filling yourself back up. And so there was that aspect of it. And there was also the aspect of being frustrated that I couldn't, like you, find something that would support me to plan and organize my life as a whole, you know, rather than just these apps here. And for me, do you know what it is? For me, tax completely freaks me out. I just hate doing tax, and I hate having to organize everything. So a lot of the business stuff came from, you know, the kilometer tracking and, you know, organizing our expenses. So we've got a place to write it all down. And then I do a lot of collaborative work with Erin, where we do lots of retreats and events and gatherings and stuff. And so having a place where I can do my stuff and our stuff and project plan just is what I needed. And so that's kind of where it all came about.
Yeah, no, it's so important to be able to set boundaries and be able to identify, you know, where your time is going, and where you know how to put you know, not all of your eggs in one basket, but be able to it's self-care. It's all about self-care.
How to juggle it all in order to, if we care for ourselves, then we're more able to care for the people that we work for. If we, you know, if you're not going, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've double booked. How do I choose between my child and my client? And it just causes more stress, which causes resentment towards our work and resentment towards our family. And then, you know, nothing is going to make us happy, and nothing is going to, be positive. It's just going to be constant building on stress. And, you know, when am I going to fit that in now, and how am I going to make that work, and how do I have time to post on social media, and how am I going to keep up with my Instagram and my blogs and my newsletters and all of those things all in one, was really important, because I wasn't keeping up. I've started blogging, and I'm loving it now, because now I have a place to kind of write my ideas at crazy o'clock when I have these, you know, ideas that come to me, and I grab my planner and I can just note it down, and then I don't forget. Whereas I was having these ideas and I wasn't having anywhere to actually note them down, and so they were getting lost and it wasn't happening. Whereas now we can just be organized.
And that's what I was going to say is I was terrible about just grabbing a scrap sheet of paper, writing it down on my desk, and then the kids would climb on it, play, fiddle, write, throw it away, or eat it. And then I had no idea anymore. It was gone.
Yeah. Scrap pieces of paper.
Everywhere.
This planner was actually created on scrap pieces of paper. I've got a pile of scrap pieces of paper that I would write all of my ideas for each page, and I would just kind of put them together in this crazy pile of like old envelopes and old receipts, and there you go. It was born on scrap pieces of paper.
How appropriate.
I know. No more pieces of scrap.
No more scraps of paper. So tell me a little bit about the planner and how it's structured and why it's structured that way.
Sure. So I get lots of questions. Oh, it's too much. It's so overwhelming. Why didn't you structure it like this? Why didn't you structure it like that? So the planner came about. So I have a background, obviously I'm a social worker, and I have a background in my specialty is working with adolescent young people. So I used to run groups, girls groups, and facilitate girls programs, and I was a school counsellor. And so I used to run a whole bunch of like positive mental health, positive self-esteem groups and things. And I created a lot of programs that were very successful for a few organizations. And I created a whole bunch of activities, and they've kind of just been sitting there for a while. And as I was creating the planner, the more I was working on the calendar and the more I was working on the business side of things, the more I thought, we need more. This needs more. This needs more. And I'm very, very passionate about gratitude and the practice of gratitude, because there's so much science that says that, you know, this is what is sort of the key to a happy life. And so I wanted to add more gratitude, but then I just kept getting deeper and deeper. And I thought, how am I going to structure this planner so that I've got, you know, so that it makes sense and that it flows in a way that people can use it? Because if you've got a calendar, you can't just randomly have a whole bunch of self-care activities. And so it sort of evolved on its own. And I did try a few different structures that I just didn't think worked. So I used it myself for a year in its sort of evolving draft stage, and I just kept changing the way that I'd structured it. And I really feel passionately about the way that I've structured it now, because I think that it allows you to really prioritize each section in its own right. So each section is really important on its own, but also as a whole. Like, you can't have the planner, well, I don't believe you can fully embrace the magic of the planner without one of the sections, because I think it all creates the whole, and it creates a holistic approach to your life and your business and your family and relationships. You know, you need to have every aspect of your life filled in order to feel happy and satisfied and fulfilled. You know, if one aspect of your life is really not organized and shambles or stressful, it's going to ripple out and affect the rest of your life. So it's structured in 4 sections. The front section is your daily routines and your calendar. It's very, you know, that yang, you know, energy, that kind of linear container type energy. So it's, you know, all of you've got your daily routine, so that you can write the things that you do every week on there, and that changes every month as well. And you've got your weeks and you've got your month. I personally don't use the weekly. I really just like a monthly kind of overview. And then there's also your whole year kind of overview as well. So that's the first section, which is very much, you know, just like planning. It also includes oh, there it is. Yes, mine makes it backwards, whereas yours doesn't. That's good. I've also included the full moon and the dark moon phases, because for me that's really important to be aware of. This planner is very, as I said, like a journey, and it's very focused on the cycles and the seasons, because all of that is important to us as cyclic beings. So it's very focused on the cycles. So, and there's also dates specifically for birth workers. If you purchase the birth worker planner, it's got birth work specific dates. I am going to evolve that as I learn more and more dates. So if you do have dates that I've missed, let me know and I'll add them in for next year. And things like Mercury retrograde, you know, running a webinar in the middle of Mercury retrograde, what were we thinking? But it was in the planner and we knew when we booked it, right? So things like that, looks at your energy and looks at you know, life as a whole. It's got all the seasons.
I want to share this little...
your meal planners. Yeah, meal planners and exercise planners, because that's important. I find having an idea of what we're eating for the week helps me do my shop. It helps me save money in terms of knowing what we're eating. It stops me from getting takeaway, you know. Again, holistic living. We can't run a business where we support other people if we don't support ourselves. So eating healthily and being organized in that way, and exercise as well. So the next section, so that was that section. So also with mine, to organize it, the way I've made it easier is lots of these tabs. I didn't include those in the printed version because it's important that you are able to create the tabs that work for you. So they're easy. You can just buy them from, I've got a little packet. You can just buy them from Officeworks or wherever. They just kind of come like that. They're just tabs that you can stick in there. So the second section is the business bundle, which is obviously all about your business. So we go from 5-year plans, your vision and mission statements, so you can really, at the beginning of the year or whenever you feel like it, really dig deep into where you want to go, what your business is about, what does it mean to you, what are you trying to offer to the world, and what are you focusing on. And then, of course, it goes into a yearly estimated due date tracker, because are you always losing when people are due? Do you always? Yes, always.
I have a really bad habit of just doing it by month. And so I just group everybody by month. But what I fail to realize is if they're due at the end of February and I've got 4 booked in March, then that could possibly be a 5th.
Yes, exactly. Or, you could have a few shift over. So I've created and this was really important, because that was something that I had a lot of birth workers say to me was, it's just trying to keep track. And obviously an estimated due date is estimated. So we need to have somewhere where we can have an overview of, okay, this person is due then, this person is due then. I've got a placenta booked for here, and I've got, a blessing booked for there, and I've got, whatever coming up. And you can kind of see, oh, that month is really busy. I think I'm going to maybe have a slower month the next month, or whatever it is that you need to do. So there's an overview of that. Then we've got
also really good for newborn photographers. Like, you don't have to be in the birth business per se.
Yes.
With birthing women, but photographers in general, especially newborn photographers who do studio pose sessions. This would be a calendar. Just throwing that out there too.
Yes. And that's the thing about the planner. So I'm coming from like a doula perspective, but I really created it so that it's you can make it unique to you and your business, because every business is so different and we all run it so differently, and we all are organized in different ways. So I've created it in a way that you can really make it your own. You just take it and run with it to fit your business. So there is the birth worker sort of specific one, and then I also created the other, I think it's backwards on maybe on your screen, but it's a planner for any woman really. And if you run a business, that's a bonus, but you don't have to run a business obviously to use this one, because planners are such a hard thing to find something that suits. So I've really tried hard to create something that that you can personalize in your own way, because it can be so hard to find something that suits your individual needs. Yes. So the business bundle was the second one, and there's just booking forms for all the bookings that you have. There's placenta bookings, birth photography bookings, and there's blank ones as well if you don't do the services that I've got in there. If you don't have those, if you don't offer those services, you can always like rip out those pages or, change them or whatever, but there's blank ones as well. So it goes through, the names, the contact details, have they paid the deposit, what's remaining, what package have they booked, what discounts have they had, have you sent the confirmation? So you can just tick it off, you can just tick off whether you've done it or not. Then I've done a self-care section. So the love letters is all the self-care section. And that's a section, someone said, I think you should have put the self-care with the calendar. But I specifically haven't done that very purposefully, because I think that we often overlook that stuff and we go, oh, well, I'll get to it, or it's not that important. It's much more important to do something else. And so I've put it as its own section, because as part of your holistic and sustainable living and living in flow, you need to prioritize that section. And so it's on its own, so that you can have a very specific time in your day or your week where you can open up just to that. You don't look at the business stuff. You don't look at your calendar. You don't look at any of that stuff. It's like journaling. You just go to your self-care section and you spend some time working on you, because you can't work on the other stuff unless you've done your own stuff too. So that was the purpose in the structure. And then at the end, I've kept the cycle tracking separate, because again, that's a really specific vital aspect of our energy and our life that we need to go to very specifically, that will impact the rest of our life, but it needs its own time, if that makes sense. So I've kept them all separate for that very specific reason. Yeah.
It's so I usually end up spending about 20 minutes every day in my planner, and it sounds like a lot, but it's not really that long.
No.
And I don't feel complete until I have done every aspect of it.
Yes.
So I'll spend 5 minutes in the diary. I'll spend about 5 minutes in the planner, about 5 minutes in the business, and 5 minutes on the menstrual tracking, and 5 minutes on the and this is where you say the holistic just all comes together.
Yes.
So if I'm tired and I just do just the menstrual for the day, by the way, in the morning, I'm like, oh, I didn't write how I was feeling. I didn't write anything about, and I feel like that is a day that is not documented, that I'll never to go back and find an energy, find a cycle, find a, a repetition, or find any kind of, what would,
You haven't found like a pattern or anything.
Yes,
because you've missed the other parts that exactly. It's like if we miss one of the sections, it's like a jigsaw puzzle without the it's got a missing piece. Like we need to kind of and that's why I'm really passionate about talking about holistic living and running a holistic and sustainable business, because we can't have a sustainable business that will take us through, that will earn us a reasonable income, because we have missed such a huge part that will keep it going. We just will burn out, we'll resent the work, we'll do it half-assed, or we'll be looking for scrap pieces of paper, or if we and that's the thing, if you spend 20 minutes in your planner, that's imagine how much time we were spending trying to work out what was happening, or being stressed to rearrange everything, and the time that it takes to rearrange things because you've double booked, and the energy that requires. None of that will have to happen if you are really taking the time to build that foundation for taking a more holistic approach, because you're looking at the long term, and the longevity of your business and your mental health also.
Yeah. And this is where flow comes in, I think.
Yes.
Because you've got that flow kind of going, and you've got, and you understand that you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't refuel until you've done this, and you can't do this until you do that, and you can't do that until you energy patterns, and you can't find your energy patterns until you track it and you understand your body. And then unfolds the cycle that human beings fall in.
Exactly. So we're all cyclic beings. Every living creature is a cyclic being. There's cycles in almost everything. We just aren't aware of it. It's like our breath, it's just something that happens that we don't really notice. And even our breath is a cycle. We have the in breath, the yin kind of hustle energy, and then the out breath, which is, that real more flow energy. And we're constantly having this cyclic experience in every aspect of our lives, the seasons, the moon, the sun, everything. And so we flow. That is what we do. And as women, we have this extra heightened sense of flow that we really need to do. But particularly in business, or having kids, or whatever, we are pushed into this foreign state of only half accepting our cyclic nature. We're not cycling, we're constantly having to push, stress, traffic, finances, like everything is just constant push. And so we're missing that whole other half of ourselves, and that's where flow comes in. So when I talk about living in flow, and I talk about I like to use like our flow mojo or whatever. It's actually, I really, really don't think that it's a self-care practice. It's not. It's actually a state of being. It's the way that we are. And no matter what we do, we can't take that away from ourselves. And when we push against it and we resist against it, we're resisting against ourselves, and that just creates a whole bunch of other issues, physically, emotionally, you know, in our relationships, in so many aspects of our life. If we don't embrace our flow and we don't live in a state of flow, we just create blocks all over the place. So when I created a planner, it's very much, I mean, I do talk about self-care and I do believe strongly in self-care, but something like a menstrual tracking and, you know, having that time to refill your cup, that's not self-care. That's just how we need to be, you know. That's as much as paying bills, you know, or paying taxes, or, you know, all of those things. It's the same. It's a non-negotiable. I used to say to the kids, no, it's a non-negotiable. We just have to do it in order to live, you know, happily. And you've noticed a difference.
And yes,
yeah,
I have noticed a difference. So I've been charting my cycle for about 2 months now. And so my first month that I was charting, I had no period yet because I was still, I'm still breastfeeding.
yeah.
My cycle hadn't returned yet. So the second month that I started tracking, and flow came back. Ooh, and looking back, I can now see that even without having a menstrual cycle, I can see where what I was feeling and what I was doing and what I was thinking, and the physical feelings of what, not feelings, but the physical changes was matching exactly where I should have been bleeding, where I should have been ovulating. And so it's, you know, it's important to understand that just because you don't have a menstrual cycle doesn't mean that you can't be tracking how you're feeling and your physical changes, and what
Exactly.
what your mucus is doing, and you know, fluids and sensitivities and all of those things. So I have noticed that there are certain times where I should not be doing computer stuff. Like I shouldn't. No, I should not be meeting with people.
Yes, exactly.
Certain times of the month where I should not be, you know, talking to people or interacting with people. And then there are other times of the month where that's where I need to be meeting my clients and where I need to be doing things. So knowing how your flow operates is going to help you create a sustainable business. But
Absolutely.
until you understand what your unique flow is.
Exactly. So flow can be different. You know, your flow and your energy can be really different, like everybody's is. But not having a menstrual cycle does not mean that you don't have flow, or that you can't track your cycles, or you can't track your energy, because it's not just a physical thing. It's not just about when you bleed. It's about a huge range of things, and I could talk for a whole nother hour just on that, and I am really open if anybody wants more information. Yeah, we got 4 minutes. If anyone is wanting more information, I do offer mentoring, and I'm going to offer a few more other you know, unique things, and I've got blogs as well if you are interested in the specifics. But essentially we have like 4 phases, and 2 of those phases are our real, like, out there, businessy, energetic, you know, summer, like blooming type energy, and then we have 2 phases that are much more inward. And so when you understand what your cycle, your unique cycle looks like, you can really put that together with your business and your relationships and other parts of your life, and make them work together rather than a constantly, you know, against each other. If you're booking things when you really should be resting and refilling yourself, you're just starting your cycle out of whack, and it's just going to continue this domino effect. So it's about working together with your body, with your environment, with your business, with everything, to make it flow in one. And that's really what the planner is about.
Yeah, excellent. Erin, did you have any questions? I think we could probably do another 2 or 3 webinars on everything.
Exactly.
All the information that we've got. Maybe we will plan.
Maybe we will. So I have a couple of blogs that relate to tracking. Just do some more webinars. And your Rewilding Womb Wisdom, which is about your energy cycles. I offer the printed planners as well as the PDF planners, because I think it's important that you have the option that you can personalize it yourself. So you can print out the PDF and then you can arrange it in a way that suits you. The printed is how I felt that it flowed well, but the PDF is for you to personalize however you'd like. There's a northern and a southern hemisphere because of the way that the moons go, and I felt that was really important. You can still use it if you don't have a business, and if you have any questions or you're wanting more information, you can just send me an email, info@katherineeden.com, Facebook, Instagram, and I would love to chat with you.
Perfect. So I am actually I'll tell everyone about the offer online. I won't do it in the webinar because we are recording it and we'll have a replay of it. But it was super lovely to be able to sit and chat with you.
So much.
I look forward to having more webinars with you, because the more I'm learning about myself and my cycle and my innermost being, the more I'm understanding how important it is to track these things for the sustainability of my business and my mental health and emotional well-being. So we will get together again soon, and thank you. Oh, what do you recommend with being on call, Erin? What do you recommend with being on call? It's hard to plan when work is on call.
What do you recommend with being on call? It's hard to plan. Yes, it is hard to plan. It is definitely hard to plan. So I suppose we're on less than a minute. So I probably won't be able to answer the question in less than a minute, but I will answer that question maybe on Facebook or Instagram or something. That might be good. Thank you so much, Lacey, for all of your support. You're amazing. I'm so glad that you're loving the planner. That's exactly why I created it, and you're using it exactly in that way. I'm so happy. There's also a manual that goes with the planner, so if you haven't received the manual, let me know. And there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. All good.
Okay. Thanks, Katherine. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.